In Squid Game, if you break the rules, you get eliminated. Unless you're, player 001 who both broke the rules many times in both seasons 1 and 2. So today, I'll be going over every time the Frontman and Ilnam broke the rules. So when did these two end up breaking them? In Season 1, Episode 5, we learned something very important. We discovered that Hwang In-oh, the frontman, cares a lot about fairness and equal opportunity. He gives a long speech right before he shoots one of the organ harvesting guards. The frontman said that he didn't care about the organ harvesting operation, but was upset at the guard for giving the doctor, player 111, an unfair advantage in the games. The frontman claimed that everybody was equal inside of the games, and due to this disruption, the guard would have to pay the price with his death. This scene showed just how much the frontman supposedly really cared about everybody being equal.
평등이야. 이 게임 안에선 모두가 평등해.
It's not like he tries too hard to enforce these values though. In Season 1 Episode 3, the game Dalgona is being played. Players must try to carve a shape out of a honeycomb candy using a needle. However, one player has an unfair advantage over the others. Han Min-yo had smuggled in a lighter, which she'd used to heat up a needle and easily carve out her shape. Not only did she cheat, but she gave the lighter to Duk-soo when she was finished in a not-so-subtle way to help him cheat as well, and the guards didn't do a single damn thing about it. It's hard to believe they didn't notice, but this isn't even the only time the frontman doesn't respect his rules. In Episode 7 of the same season, the frontman goes against his principles yet again. In that episode, the game Glass Stepping Stones was played. Players had to jump onto tempered glass panels with the additional difficulty of trying to tell it apart from the regular ones. They only had a 50% chance at guessing the right one, making it one of the deadliest games yet. That's where the glassmaker, player 017, comes in. Player 017 used his glass knowledge to discern the difference between the tempered ones and the normal ones, which allowed him, Gi-hun, Sang-woo, and Se-byuk to advance through the game with relative ease.
내가 구별하는 방법을 알아요.
Despite player 071 not breaking any rules or cheating, the frontman still decided to turn off the lights and make it impossible for the glassmaker to tell the difference, all to appease the VIPs.
He's examining the refraction of the light. Let me adjust the settings.
An argument could be made that the frontman turned off the lights to make things fair for the other players, but the glassmaker was simply using his field knowledge, not cheating like the doctor. Screwing over the glassmaker isn't the only time the frontman didn't stand by his own rules. But next, we'll be talking about Ilnam. Ilnam was probably one of the most beloved characters in Season 1 before the final episode. He was supposedly just a sweet old man who was a great friend to Gi-hun in the games, up until his demise. His emotional death in Marbles definitely got some of us to shed a tear or two. Unfortunately, it turns out he had a dark side to him, as we later find out who he was, the one who created the games.
당신이 안 찢습니까?
Joining the games when you're literally the creator of them is probably the most unfair thing that's ever happened in them, along with the frontman joining as a player a few years later. Being the creator ensures that you have the most amount of protection from death, as well as having inside info about what games are going to be played. In Red Light Green Light, for example, we can see how unbothered Ilnam is, even as he knows he has a very low chance of dying. Although we do see Ilnam playing the game and making it to the end, unlike the frontman, it's still very likely he had protection in this game. It's like the doll wasn't even tracking his movements, or the snipers were instructed to not kill player 001 regardless of if he moves or not. In Marbles, however, the players had to play a game against the partner they picked, with the loser being the one dying and the winner making it out. Ilnam and Gi-hun were paired up, and Ilnam eventually lost to our main character. After being beaten, Ilnam says his final goodbye to Gi-hun. Gi-hun walks away from Ilnam, so he never actually saw Ilnam being shot. From here it can be assumed that the guard in charge of the pair merely pretends to shoot Ilnam, who was probably escorted to his luxury quarters. I don't think I'll have to explain why this isn't fair at all. Ilnam was probably trying to leave the games because he knew that the next game would be Glass Stepping Stones, which he would have a very hard time playing. It's not like the guards would be able to yell out the correct path to him, and there was a chance someone would have picked number 16 before he had a chance to select it. Either way, what Ilnam was trying to do would have ended up granting him an easy way out of the games. All the frontman's talk about equality means absolutely nothing when things like this are going on inside of the games. Having the creator of the whole operation doesn't seem very fair, but I guess Ilnam is just the exception, along with who we're talking about next. Next up, we have the frontman joining the games as player 001 in Season 2. In-ho joining the games as a player completely goes against his ruling on fairness and equality within the games. We can see that the guards are giving him as much protection as possible in the same way Ilnam was given that same protection. In Season 2, Episode 5, the six-legged pentathlon took place, a game that had to be played in groups of 5. Out of all of the teams, the Frontman's team conveniently ends up going last. It could simply be luck, but the more realistic explanation is that his team was slated to go last on purpose. This almost certainly was so the Frontman could be easily escorted out of the games by the guards if his team failed to complete their games on time, and him going last would ensure that no witnesses would remain to see him spared.
우리만 관객이 없으니까 좀 서운하긴 하다, 그치?
All the Frontman would have to do is hang back and watch his team get killed, then leave the scene when the coast would be clear. It's also possible that he was given a free pass in Mingle too, although there isn't as much evidence to support this as there is the aforementioned theory. Mingle is one of the scariest games in the series. Players had to get into groups of varying sizes and get into a room with them while fighting against whoever else was trying to get inside that room. Players had to get into groups of varying size and get into a room with them while fighting against whoever else was trying to get inside the same room. In one of the rounds, Inho goes off by himself to find a team and disappears. And the next time we see him, the round is already over. It's possible that he may not have been able to find one in time and ended up getting off scot-free somehow. He could have found an empty room and gone in himself, but again, it's hard to tell because there isn't enough evidence to support this theory. The likely answer is that Inho managed to find a room in time, but the scene just wasn't included in the show, probably to make you wonder whether or not Inho ended up making it to the next round. Right after the rebellion happened, Inho decided he was done masquerading as a player and went back to being the frontman. While players 047 and 015 had their backs turned, Inho mercilessly shot them in the back. He then used his walkie-talkie to make sure Gi-hun heard the sounds of one of the players dying. Then, he put the mask of the frontman back on and killed Jung-bae. He ends up going back to his lavish lifestyle just like Il-nam did in Season 1, not even showing any concern or sympathy for the players he just killed in the rebellion. Not only does it display how cruel Inho is, it proves that the time he spent in the games didn't mean a thing to him. Going into the games as the frontman guaranteed Inho's safety, which gave him a huge, unfair advantage over the other players. This shows how weak his rules really are, as he couldn't even follow them himself. His hypocrisy is bad enough, but Il-nam not following the rules of the game he created is even worse. Another one of Il-nam's many moments of unfairness is seen in the special game that took place in Season 1, Episode 4. It was complete chaos, as nearly everybody was fighting with each other, and some even ended up killing others. Il-nam didn't actually have any protection during the game, and was definitely considered an easy target due to being a frail old man. But the reason it ended when he did was because of what he said right before the frontman decides to end it all. Il-nam wasn't an idiot and could probably tell that if the fighting went on, there was a chance he could have been killed. So he stood up on top of the bunks and started yelling, saying that everyone should stop the madness. The frontman immediately got guards to break up the fight, ensuring that Il-nam couldn't be killed in this chaos. This isn't the first time Il-nam has attempted to skip any of the games either. Before the game Marbles was played, the players had to pick a partner to play with. There was an odd number of players, something that Il-nam would be able to deduce, so he sat in the corner and didn't talk to anybody. This would ensure that he wouldn't have to play the game as nobody would want to partner up with him. Minyo was given a free pass since she wasn't able to find a partner, which is what Il-nam would have been able to do. However, he could have taken it one step further and told the guards to fake his death by shooting at the wall or something. This would make the players think he had been killed, and he would be able to go back to living his life as the host. You might be confused as to why Tug of War, the game played in Season 1, Episode 4, hasn't been mentioned yet. Some people theorize that Il-nam was not actually chained to the rope, and that if Gi-hun's team had lost, Il-nam would have been spared. However, this theory can be easily proven as false. It's clear that Il-nam was chained to the rope, and even if he wasn't, it would be practically impossible to fake his death in any way. The players who are watching the game going on would be able to tell that Il-nam hadn't fallen, and it's not like the guards could just kill them all. It's nice to theorize, but it's just not possible for this theory to be true, as it would make no sense in universe. One of the perks of being part of the game's staff is being unable to unfairly worm your way out of death's grasp, which is exactly what the frontman and Il-nam did in several of the games they participated in. Without the protection they got, they could have been killed at any time without even expecting it. If you enjoyed this video, you'll also enjoy the other video on the screen.